In the mental health world, there's a lot of stigma. It's associated with a lot of scary, dark, intimidating, and overwhelming things. And more often than not, when I see artists portray aspects of mental health, it's often those things. It's deep, vulnerable, and raw, and while the way everyone portrays their own experience is true for themselves, I wonder if there's another way we can look at it. Not to say those depictions and experiences are wrong, and not to replace that aspect of it, but to add another light into it. What if that overwhelming feeling wasn't just something that weighed you down? What if it was also a feeling trying to help you slow down and breathe? What if that fearful feeling wasn't just something that kept you from expressing yourself? What if it was also a feeling that's just trying to protect you and make sure you're kept safe? What if that numb feeling was also a feeling trying to protect you and help you find another way to cope with something that feels like too much for you to handle? Or letting you know that you need help processing it in your body? What if that really sad feeling wasn't just something that made you more weighed down? What if it was more of a feeling letting you know that you're not doing okay? Something is hurting and you need someone. What if those tears that you're trying to hold back and keep to yourself are exactly the thing to help bring people in and bring you connection and reassurance? As if your body is communicating to others on behalf of you for help, when you don't have the words or are choosing not to use them. Now, obviously, these are generalizations to consider and don't include all of the nuances and context that goes into this stuff. It's often way more complicated than how I just put it. But welcome back to Brushstrokes and Bookmarks, a series that combines books, painting, mental health, and therapy all into one. Today we'll be going over Chapter 1, Places We Go When Things Are Uncertain or Too Much. If you want to go grab stuff to paint along or start another hobby or grab a notebook, feel free to press pause. If not, let's go ahead and dive in. I do want to emphasize that when it comes to mental health and therapy, it is highly individualized. I come from a very person-centered approach where, although there's a lot of research and evidence that comes along with therapeutic interventions, an individual's identity, influences, values, environment, and goals require personalized approaches that suit their circumstances. So with these videos and content, I want to give a disclaimer to make it absolutely clear that this is not me as a therapist or social worker telling you what to do or giving official therapeutic advice for you and your situation. I want to share ideas, concepts, and skills to think about. Hopefully introduce something new into your world. Not that I'll be sharing anything revolutionary or groundbreaking here, but you never know what barriers prevent people from accessing help, and shouldn't assume someone's basis of knowledge. And I really want to help in removing and lowering barriers that restrict access to resources and help that can aid human well-being. I highly encourage going to a therapist or licensed professional for advice and treatment. This is not a replacement or equivalent for that professional help. As with every chapter, I won't be able to go over every point and emotion here, but I'll be going over more of what stood out to me and felt important. And of course, in book club fashion, please comment and discuss what things stood out to you, your thoughts on the chapter, and any relevant links, resources that you have that you would like to share. Here's what I'm using today if you want to follow along to the painting. These will be pretty simple and themed about the same every week. Feel free to use other colors, paint different flowers that speak to you, or paint something completely different, whatever you want really. So I really love creating flowers. The first reason is because there's so many different unique kinds. Secondly, I love that you'll find a flower that symbolizes and highlights beauty in like almost every culture, almost like another universal language to signify beauty. I think that's really cool. And it's just another way that people are connected. And that is going to be the theme for the pieces that I paint for this book. It's going to be a different kind of flower to represent something that stood out to me in that particular chapter. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I think that using flowers to represent these hard emotions is a way to symbolize that reframing of being able to look at something tough and sometimes negative and turning it into something beautiful and more meaningful. Today, to symbolize the emotions of the chapter, I decided to paint some blue-purple thistles. Now, the relation of these flowers to the emotions is a completely personal decision. I decided on the flower purely based on vibes, how the emotion felt to me and the vibe that I got from the certain kind of flower. Feel free to paint whatever you want, whatever is speaking to you. But for me, the purple, the blue, the pokey look, the vibe of the thistle symbolizes anxiety for me and how I feel it. The feeling of being stuck and overwhelmed, racing thoughts, excessively worrying, dread, panic attacks, anxiety attacks. And that being said, I guess I'll start off on the anxiety section of the chapter. I appreciate how there is a distinction between anxiety as a trait, anxiety as a state, and anxiety as a mental health disorder. It shows just how many different ways anxiety can present itself. It can be a natural predisposition, just a response to a situation, or an actual condition. The author at some point says that anxiety can lead to one of two coping mechanisms, worry or avoidance. However, I would argue that it often isn't only one of the two and can often be both at the same time. But I think this brings up a good concept, which I think people have heard of before, which is safe spaces. These are spaces, be that actual physical locations, a shared space with certain people, or doing something specific that feels safe and helps to bring that calmness. It's very important, but what's also important are what we call brave spaces. The place you go to grow, get out of your comfort zone, and challenge your thoughts and feelings. Safe spaces equal regulation and security. Brave spaces equal growth and change. This can be compared to something called the window of tolerance, basically showing that there is a window where we feel calm, cool, collected, comfortable. But too much outside that window is where we find hypoarousal and hyperarousal. Those are the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses. This is where we go to unhealthy coping and habits. So safe spaces are in that window of tolerance, but brave spaces are like the edge of that window that help to make that window bigger. So say you're actively in a state of anxiety. The first step is to access the safe space. Go to a certain place, talk to a safe person, start a healthy coping skill. Bring that anxiety down, feel safe and calm. Some individual coping skills I like to use and recommend are deep breathing, like box breathing, 7-Eleven breathing, tightening lips, breathing techniques, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation, using guided imagery, and senses work. And then there's brave spaces, where you go when you're feeling safe and secure. This is where you reflect, practice more coping skills, try new ones, and try things that test your comfort and anxiety. There are a lot of different anxiety type diagnoses out there, but in the DSM, the diagnosis for generalized anxiety disorder includes having anxiety symptoms for at least 6 months, more days than not. So if you've been having these symptoms for a long time, seeking help with a professional may be a great option to consider. I think that when it comes to feeling stressed, it's important to self-reflect and analyze what stress looks like in your life right now. What are times when it's felt like too much, and what are times when you have been able to use it in a healthy way? Because these are questions that I have to ask myself all the time. Like, where does healthy stress fit into my life? And what is healthy stress? Is it a motivator? Is it that spark of excitement? Is it a cautious feeling? What does it look and feel like? Now, Now, I think vulnerability goes along with every emotion in this whole book, but since it's mentioned in this chapter specifically, I think it's important to say that that feeling we have during times of uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure can be absolutely related to anxiety, because anxiety is all about facing uncertainty, lack of control, and going out of your comfort zone. There's a video from the author that I highly recommend taking a look at to see it another way, but it echoes that thought that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is our greatest measure of courage. I like how she says in the book, in a world where perfectionism, pleasing, and proving are used as armor to protect our egos and our feelings, it takes a lot of courage to show up and be all in when we can't control the outcome. It also takes discipline and self-awareness to understand what to share and with whom. Vulnerability is not oversharing, it's sharing with people who have earned the right to hear our stories and our experiences. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's our greatest measure of courage. So, how do we face anxiety? How do we move through it? How do we prepare for it? Honestly, one step at a time, one day at a time, and often one deep breath at a time. It's often about practicing coping, knowing boundaries, self-reflection, self-discipline, vulnerability, and a lot of patience. Again, I'd maybe start by asking yourself these questions of, where do I feel this emotion in my body? Do I know how I feel when I'm about to experience this emotion? Are there triggers for me? How do I see this emotion present in my life right now? When was the time that I experienced this emotion and was able to cope? How did I do that? What works and how can I keep doing that? What isn't working and how can I do less of that? I hope that you're able to find those safe and brave spaces in your life and that you're able to work through whatever is bringing you stress, overwhelm, fear, dread, anxiety, worry, and avoidance. This is our painting result. I love how the background turned out with all those different brushstrokes present, with the simple thistle bouquet in the center. This is kind of the structure of what all these paintings are going to be like, just with different flowers and colors and things like that. But leave a comment, question, or start a discussion below. Let me know what stood out to you and what thoughts, tools, quotes, or whatever popped up for you, whether it's about the book, the art, or just any other thoughts you want to bring to the table. And of course, I'll have links to the techniques and concepts that I mentioned today. On another note, I am excited to announce that I'm working on another project to launch next year. It's going to be a monthly art mail club where once a month I will be mailing a small art print from this book club series, along with a sticker and a letter that is mental health, therapy, and social work related. And then a portion of the proceeds from it will go towards charity to keep passing it forward. But if you are wanting an art print of these paintings from the series, they will be exclusively sold to those monthly mail club members so that I can give you guys a discounted price on art and also use a portion of that money to give it away to better causes. The sign up for those memberships will be on Patreon starting in December, so check the link in the description on my page for my Patreon page, which will also have more details on the club and a place to post what charity you'd like to see donated to. So subscribe and follow to stay updated on that. Thanks for hanging out, and next time we'll go into the second chapter, places we go when we compare. See you then.